When you're finished with your heel, your work should look something like this. From now on, it's really simple. You just knit your foot for as long as you need it. I'm knitting in size 36 to 37, and I'll knit about 14 centimeters before I show you how the toe works. Just measure here, from the heel edge to the length you need. As I said, for me about 13 centimeters, until you then, after you've knitted the foot, begin the toe. A little tip, if you're knitting the socks for yourself or for someone in your household, if you've knitted up to the beginning of the little toe, then is the ideal time to start the toe. Otherwise, I knit on top, so the second and third stitches, continuing my original pattern. So, with a purl stitch and a right twisted knit stitch, below I'll continue knitting in stockinette. Then you've got a nice, elastic, lightweight sock that fits snugly to your foot. Until then, have fun. See you at the top. When your foot has reached the required length, it should look something like this. I have stockinette stitch at the bottom and our super elastic pattern at the top. And now we're starting with the toe, which is really easy to knit. It's important here that you start again with your first needle, seen here from the heel, so that the work then pulls together nicely upwards on the right and left. From now on, knit every stitch. Watch out on the first needle. Our odd-numbered needle, you knit the last 2 stitches together again. That means you don't insert into the first stitch, but into the second. Go through both stitches, pull the yarn through, and you've made 1 knit stitch out of 2 knit stitches. On the second needle, do the same, but now knit the first 2 stitches together. Then knit all the stitches on the whole needle again. The third needle is again an odd-numbered needle. Here you knit all the stitches except for the last 2 stitches, which you knit together again. Knit the last 2 stitches together again and the fourth needle, you might have guessed it already, even needle, you knit the first 2 stitches together again. The next round is really simple. You just knit every stitch with no decreases. That means you're always knitting alternating rounds with a decrease. That means on the first needle, you work the last 2 stitches together. On the second, the first 2, then the last 2 again, and then the first 2 again. Simply that the work here pulls together nicely and neatly up toward the tip. 1 round decreasing, 1 without. Keep doing that now until you have 6 stitches left on each needle. No matter how many stitches you knitted before. Until then, have fun. If you've got your 6 stitches on each needle, your work should now look like the toe is really pulling nicely and evenly forward on the right and left. Now it looks like this from the side. The next rounds won't get any harder either. Now just knit the decrease round every round until you have only 3 stitches on each needle. Then you can already weave in your ends and you're done. Until then, have fun. If you now have 3 stitches left on each needle, cut your yarn. Make sure you leave enough for weaving in, and now use a yarn needle like I have here. Then thread it. Of course, any other needle will do too, but you'll probably have more trouble being able to thread the yarn cleanly. So, now you sew up your work. You begin with the first needle and insert into the first stitch from bottom to top. Pull the yarn through and let the stitch slide off the needle. Second stitch the same, always from bottom to top, pull through, let it slip off the stitch. Now do that for all 4 needles. Watch out. Look closely where the front is and where the back is, so you work it neatly on your double-pointed needles in the round, so you don't get any bumps at the front. So if you've done that, you now have a little hole at the front. Now you pass the needle through. Turn your whole sock over and pull the yarn through the hole nice and tight so the hole at the front closes. Now you can sew in your work. Six to 8 times. Tie another knot so it really holds. The wool is machine washable at 40 degrees and still holds up really well even after many washes. Other things already. I've already knitted baby socks with it. I'll link those for you later. They hold up really well. So, then of course weave in the starting tail. Watch out here. Normally you'd sew it on the inside, but because your rolled cuff turns the inside into the outside, you roll it up here and sew along here. Then your sock's already finished. I think it looks really lovely, even though it's a super easy pattern. If you liked my video, I'd be happy about a free subscription. Then you also won't miss any of my new videos. Until then, I wish you lots more fun while knitting.